Welcome to the United Matters channel. How are you guys? And where are you watching us from? Nkunku to Man United transfer hint dropped yesterday, and something big has been dropped today in here. And I was like, why don't I rush and obviously bring it to you in here onto the United Matters channel? Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're totally watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rock and David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun. And let's continue to subscribe because we know we want to hit 21,000 subscribers onto this channel. There is a little bit of Bruno Fernandez coming up and obviously responding to the statements that were made by Amorim onto the United players on how they played when you're playing against Brighton. And the captain has come and obviously stood in defense to his manager, that is Amorim. And you very much know to it that we are still on Dogu and Garnacho into the mix. Now, Nkunku is one of those players that hasn't gone ahead, obviously have a very good spell at the side of Chelsea, and guess what? They look like they want to move him on. You've gone ahead to see it that the likes of Bayern Munich have gone ahead to show huge interest in the player, and they wanted to obviously sell or really get him from Chelsea. And remember, they also wanted to sign him from RB Leipzig when he was still there before he crossed to Chelsea. And remember, Chelsea came in early in the summer of 2022. That's when they obviously went ahead, obviously signing Nkunku in September, and the deal was done and dusted. Medical conducted, I think, before the World Cup, and he was obviously declared a Chelsea player, but you know, the knee injury was really the problem. And Seth of Sky Sports told us that Man United are discussing whether to make a loan move for Christopher Nkunku. Permanent move thought to be highly unlikely. Now, United are thinking of obviously making a loan move for Nkunku into the mix. And that's what we got in from Seth of Sky Sports yesterday. Then Simon Jones has told us that Man United have asked about the possibility of Christopher Nkunku on loan from Chelsea. Now, that means it's all about a loan move. And I really believe we are making a wrong decision to get in a player like him. And yesterday, before all these stories came up, it was a story coming from Portugal about Nkunku to Manchester United. And he told us the following, that Man United and Chelsea are considering a swap deal between Alejandro Garnacho and Nkunku. And this is the baddest that I've ever gone ahead to hear. Why? Nkunku is not a bad player, but I tell you, he's an injury-prone player. I tell you. Let me read to you, his injury history ever since he got that knee injury. I tell you, he has not been the same. But I tell you, when it comes to talent, skill set, he's a far much better player than Garnacho. But I tell you, Garnacho is not an injury-prone player. He's that kind of player who is always going, he's obviously going to be readily available. Let me start off from 2020. From the torn lateral ligament. You understand? It really happened on the 15th of November 2022, as we went to the World Cup. He spent 84 days out. And he missed 12 matches, right? Then November, after those 84 days, he came back. Feb 7th, he went ahead to obviously be out for 11 days, and then torn masticular fiber. March 4th, by then he was at Chelsea, and he was out for 110 days. He missed 20 games. Then from 1st November 2023 to 14th December 2023, he was out for 44 days. He went ahead to obviously get a hip injury that kept him out for 24 days. January 5th, 2024 to January 28th, 2024. And from February 26th, 2024 to May 2024, to May 3rd, 2024, he was out for 68 days. He had what we call a hamstring injury. Now, I don't think that you can compare such a player with Alejandro Garnacho. Garnacho is that kind of player that has been here and he has been fit every time the manager needed him. And this is where I tell you, this is a deal I cannot really allow to happen. Nkunku is a very good player, but I think his injury proneness is really costing us hard. And I cannot allow us to obviously go for another injury prone player from Chelsea. Remember what happened to us when we went in for Mason Mount. Mason Mount is a very good player, but looks like by the time we went in for him, the physio team of Chelsea had gone ahead, obviously, see something, and we paid £60 million for Mason Mount, And you remember very well, when that deal was obviously being orchestrated, I was like, in this guy, I would go in for Amadou Onana, who was by then at Aston Villa, because he was a very good player. And I was asking myself that, where was Man United in negotiating for a deal of Mount when McAllister was up for sale? I think McAllister does a lot than Mason Mount, and would have gone ahead to get him far much cheaper, because Liverpool got him for £35 million, meaning that if we took those £50 million to Brighton, the player would have gone ahead, obviously come through and will play for the club of Manchester United. But we spent the entire 3 months towards the summer transfer window of 2023 working on a deal of Mason Mount, and yet we need to eat that player had been injury prone for the previous 2 seasons, and it will be us repeating the same mistake to go in for Nkunku when injuries have proven to be the hugest block into what our season was last season and what it is right now. Because Luke Shaw, you can name it, the players are really injured and they keep going back to the sick bay. So I don't want us to obviously risk ourselves. It's better, if you are to sell Alejandro Garnacho, let us sell Alejandro Garnacho and say to it that we are going to bring in Dogu, Patrick, and then we will obviously maybe try to wait until the summer and really get in another player. Other players that can obviously cross to Manchester United, because in the situation that we are into, with the position that we're into in the league, we cannot convince players to come in here. You get? Let's start afresh, because if we don't do that, we are going to obviously do the same mistake. I don't want us to go in for panic buys. Even bring him on loan, I don't really want it, because it won't really help us. I know he's a very good player, but can he keep himself fit? That is a huge, because if you're taking out Garnacho, that means you're bringing in a player who is gonna come up to try and really fill or bridge that gap that Garnacho was gonna obviously live here. If you are to check the performance of these 2 players ever since they started playing in the Premier League, I think Garnacho has better stats than Nkunku. And Nkunku is at Chelsea and is a bench player. And I know him playing behind the number 10 is really good, and is a very good number 10, and he can also lead the line, but my problem are injuries. If he was not an injury-prone player, I would have told you, let Chelsea get us this player on. But what I don't want to hear is that we've gone ahead to do a swap. I cannot allow that, because we will be sending a better player to Chelsea and getting in a player that hasn't gone ahead to prove himself in the Premier League. Yet this player has proven himself in the Premier League and is really doing better and better and better as a player. So I think we should be doing better as a side of Man United in such decisions. And whoever thinks of this deal that we should swap Garnacho to leave Man United and get Nkunku in, that person needs to obviously go to a psychologist and really get his head checked, because we can't allow such stuff. It's just that's the real meaning of madness. If you tell me that we are swapping this guy for Nkunku, that's really very bad, because we would have sold Garnacho for £60 million, of which I believe that's even less for how he's really performing, because there is a stat I read in the due course of the week that there is no player under the age of 21 for the previous 2 seasons that has gone ahead obviously produce more goal involvements than Alejandro Garnacho. In that aspect, he's better than even this guy who plays at Barcelona. He's called Lamine Yamal. And you want to obviously let that player go in a swap deal. I think we'd rather sacrifice Garnacho to go get in £60 million and use that amount of money to obviously get in other players. Because I told you, £60 million, it will be registered. It won't come in as a wholesome amount of money, but that is guaranteed fees. And in our budget, it will be like we got in that amount of money, meaning that we can get in 6 players at 6 players each at 60 million each at 60 million pounds. You understand? So getting 6 players for Ruben Amorim and balance the books right, I think that will be something great. So if you're sacrificing Garnacho for that, it's okay. But for a swap for Nkunku, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that. But I know Nkunku is a very good player, but I tell you, he's really injury prone. Now, the manager came out and really told the media after us losing to Brighton that this is the worst United team ever, you know? And he came out and defended himself and said he was really angry about that and apologized. And even the captain, when talking to Benyen Sports, he has come up and obviously had something to say about that. And what has Bruno had to say? I'm pretty sure it was in a moment of anger. I'm Portuguese. I know that blood runs very quickly. I was also here with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, one of the calmest people I've ever met, and it happened to him too. Then he added and said, as a manager, you depend on results, and sometimes you have to have those kinds of words towards your players. It wasn't something taken out of context, all that we didn't deserve. He associated himself with that, and when the manager associates himself with that, with what he says, nobody can be angry about it. So that's what he said, that the players are really fine with what Ruben Amorim said about them. But I believe it's just coverage in here, but I think he lost his cool. And in the moment that we are into as a club of Manchester United, I think it's better for the manager to obviously lose his cool when with the players, not with anyone else. So please go into the comment section and tell me your thoughts about Nkunku to Man United transfer hint. What do you think about it? And would you get excited about that swap of Garnacho to Man United and Nkunku to Chelsea? I don't really give it a go. I don't know what your thoughts are about it. Then, what do you make about Bruno Fernandez standing in for the manager, and what the squad really thought about what was really put out there? So guys, thank you very much for watching through. I sign out for now. See you later. Rokan David remains my name, and thank you for obviously subscribing to this channel. United playing away at Fulham next after this video. Match day live and so much more. We out.